Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Monica. I'm a tarot reader and astrologer based in North Queensland in Australia, and today I'm looking at what tarot decks I am letting go of this year. It is actually not that many, and I just want to spend a few moments talking about that first as to why that is, because initially I was looking at decluttering quite a bit of my collection. I think the last time I did this was a couple of years ago. I did do a video on it at the time. I'll put that in the description box below. And so my intention for this year in 2024 was to do a declutter on a similar level. However, I have since changed my mind, and the reason for that is, well, there's a number of reasons actually, and I just want to explain why that is. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that has these sentiments at present. But essentially, number one, the cost of tarot decks now and the cost of shipping is quite prohibitive. They're very expensive. Things are not as affordable as they used to be. And certainly the shipping for those decks that are published overseas, and I'm based in Australia, so most deck publications do come from the United States or Europe. So to get a tarot deck shipped from there is quite expensive. It's like $30 or something like that on Kickstarter usually. Not that I'm backing Kickstarter decks this year, and I've discussed that why in a video I posted previously. But yeah, so the first thing is that I am not really adding to my collection a lot, to be honest. So this video follows on from a previous video where I looked at decks that I acquired this year, and there's not many at all. I think it was 8 from memory. And it stayed the same since I published that video, and it's not looking to increase in the coming months because we are moving house towards the end of this year, and I don't want to add to my collection because of the house move, but also because, like I said, the cost of tarot decks is really expensive. But also the other reason is that there is now a plethora of tarot decks that are coming onto the market, either through self-publishing or through Kickstarter or even mainstream media publications. I have come across some online information highlighting the use of artificial intelligence by mainstream publishers, and that's certainly prevalent in Kickstarter, and I just have no interest in AI. I don't want to get AI. And also I'm very wary that people are not disclosing whether they use AI or not. And to be honest, they could just as easily lie and you wouldn't really know. At this stage, I feel like I can certainly discern an AI deck from other decks, but that might well not be the case in a couple of years as the technology gets really good. So because of that, I'm just really wary of buying any new decks. And the other final reason, which was like the nail in the coffin for me in terms of getting rid of decks, is that last week it was announced that the largest Australian bookseller, Booktopia, has entered receivership. And that is really unfortunate. It's actually quite depressing because first we had Book Depository closing down, and that was a year ago or over a year ago. And so Booktopia was my go-to for sourcing tarot decks and books as well, especially books, but now and then tarot decks as well. And so, and I can just see that the inflationary pressures and pressures on disposable incomes continuing to increase in the future. And I think booksellers, let's face it, books and tarot decks, as much as I love my tarot collection, it is purely a discretionary item. And I'm wary of buying from other publishers. I'm wary of AI. I'm wary of going on Kickstarter. And so I feel like I'm just going to make the best of the collection that I have, and decks that I might have considered selling at the beginning of the year, I've decided to keep, essentially, because yeah, I have enough, certainly, and I can't see replacing those decks with other decks because of the issues that I highlighted earlier on in this video. So with all that being said, I only have, I think, 6 tarot decks that I'm letting go of. And so I'll go through those and explain to you why I'm deciding to let go of them. Okay, so the first one is the Elemental Tarot. And this is a Low Scarabeo publication, and it is now out of print. It has been out of print for quite some time. And these are the card backs here. You know, the good old standard Low Scarabeo. You recognize the that card, and also it does have a little booklet that comes with it. There's usually another card somewhere. No? Okay. Now, I bought this deck because I have an interest in working with elementals. And I highlighted that in a previous video. So the elementals, you know, like the air, earth, water, and fire animated spirits, if you wish to call them. And so I bought this deck because I thought it would really help me, or I could really work with it in that sense. But I don't know, I just haven't really connected with it. I think it's because I don't really like the artwork that much. It's a real shame. I don't think the artwork is bad per se. It's just not, yeah, I'm just not gelling with it. I'm not connecting with it. It's not resonating with me. It's just not how I thought it would be. You know, you get a deck that you think will be all that and a bag of chips, and it's not. And that's unfortunately this deck. Okay, and I can't really put my finger on it. I just think that overall the artwork just isn't to my liking. Okay, so unfortunately I'm letting go of this one, and I've sort of amenard about it because, like I said, it is out of print and they're not that easy to find now and then. But because I think it's not like super rare, so it's reasonably affordable despite being out of print. And I will endeavor to keep my pricing along those lines too, and not, you know, charge a ridiculous amount of money for it. I'll see if I can find how much I paid for it. But yeah, essentially I am letting go of this deck. You know, and I also have other decks that fulfill some of the functions that I thought that this deck would. For example, you know, the Pentacle suit is, of course, the Earth Elementals or the Gnomes. And I have a Tarot of Gnomes, which is one of the last few decks that I bought from Book Depository. When they announced that they were closing, I went, right, I'm gonna go and yeah, get a few, like the last hurrah, get a few decks. I'm sure I'm not the only one who did that. And Tarot of Gnomes was one of them. And so I'll use that deck for when I work with the Earth Elementals, for example. I don't have decks to fulfill the other functions, although I do have water-themed decks for working with the water elementals. And anyhow, so yeah, I am letting go of this one, the Elemental Tarot. It is published by Low Scarabeo, and the artist is, here we go, Marco Turini. I'm not sure if you can see that, but Marco Torino was the artist behind this deck. So, sorry Marco, just didn't gel with me. Next up I have the Pocket Goddess Tarot. Hang on, let me just, that was a bit wonky. Let me get my moon crystal. Rightio. We can now continue. So I have the Pocket Goddess Tarot by Chris Walder. Now the mini deck is also out of print. So this is another out of print deck that I've sort of amenard, and you know, I haven't yet put these up for sale. I'll be selling them on the Australian Facebook group, and by the time I come to do that, which will be next month in August, I might change my mind and decide to keep these. But look, if I don't, then certainly this is a deck that I will be selling. Even though the mini version is out of print, I believe that the regular size is still available. And earlier this year or last year at some stage, I did see that there was a book that was funded through Kickstarter specifically for this deck, and I nearly bought it, but then I didn't. And I think the reason I didn't was because I kind of already knew that I would be saying goodbye to this deck. And look, this is a really lovely deck. I love the cardstock. It's got a really beautiful matte quality, but it's on the thinner side. But I really love this particular type of cardstock, okay? It's not overly plasticky, not heavy laminated or anything like that. So, yes, and it is a deck based on goddesses. So we've got, you know, the different suits, each have one goddess each assigned to them. And the majors are all different goddesses, all the 22 majors. I think it's really lovely the way it's done. I'm actually falling in love with it a bit more now that I'm showing it. And that's the thing when you decide to sell out of print decks, you gotta really think about, do I really want to do that? Because trying to get it back further down the track, either it's going to be way more expensive, or realistically I might not even find someone willing to sell it. So, and I really love the colors in this deck. I really, this is actually one deck, as opposed to the previous one where I didn't like the artwork. For this deck, I just really do love the artwork. I just haven't worked with it much, and I bought it such a long time ago. I've had this deck for, I think, 10 years, something along those lines. I bought it from the good old days when the Theosophical Society had an amazing bookshop in Melbourne. And it was whenever I went to Melbourne, which wasn't often, but I did live in Melbourne for about 3 months, and I got to know it at that time. And hang on, let me just sort this camera out because it's really annoying me. There we go. I'm not sure why I'm having issues with it staying put, but anyway. Yes, so I got acquainted with the Theosophical bookshop, and I mean, I loved it at the time, and unfortunately it has since, as I understand it, closed down in that location, and there was a whole issue surrounding it closing down. They've closed down the online ordering system. I mean, a real tragedy in my opinion. But then again, there goes another nail in the coffin for independent booksellers, and also for Australian booksellers, not just the Theosophical bookshop, but also, you know, like Booktopia recently. I mean, I was really shocked by that because they were such a huge online retailer of books. That was really sad and quite shocking. Okay, so anyhow, I'll have a think about this. I'll reconsider it and see if it is a deck that I wish to really part with. I haven't yet priced these, but I'm going to price them fairly fair. Okay, next up, I have the Little Sister Tarot. Now this is my own copy, and I did get a spare copy when I bought it, which is here, and it's all wrapped up. I'm not going to open it. And I do so love this deck. I think it's one of those hidden gems in the tarot world. I mean, it's not exactly hidden, but I think it's just stunning and really gorgeous and a really beautiful, gentle energy. It does come with this lovely book, and I bought it because so I backed this on Kickstarter last year, and I kind of felt like if I'm buying stuff off Kickstarter and paying for shipping, you know, shipping becomes less if you order 2 per deck. And I thought, well, I'll buy a spare copy to have just in case, or if I decide to sell it later on. And I did that, and I'm still not sure if I'll sell it. I gotta stop doing that. I have to stop, you know, deciding to sell decks and then changing my mind. But look, it's just such a lovely deck. Beautiful, beautiful colors, exceptional gentle energy, really soothing. I just find it, it's like a meditative deck, but it still has enough scenery and enough action in the cards to not be a mystery to work with and to not be confusing to work with. And I absolutely really adore it. I just think I think the colors really gel with me. They're like they resonate so well. I'm a blue and turquoise kind of person, and check out, you know, the edging is just fantastic. It's not gilded, it's like a matte type edging, and I commend the artist, which is Ginny Thompson, for doing a really nice edging for the deck. And I don't know, I just think it's just a gorgeous little deck, and I do use it, but I don't have any need to hold a spare. I do have a few spare decks that I'm sort of holding to one day give my daughter, if she so wishes, to continue, you know, or to have any tarot decks herself. She might not. And those are decks like the Dark Goddess Tarot. I have a couple of Baba Studio ones that are completely wrapped up and unopened. I've got an Unfolding Path one, and you know, a few others. But I'm keeping those, but I kind of feel like with this one, I have enough to gift to her and also to my son when they do grow up, that I just don't feel the need to keep this one too. And of course, there's my own decks too that will be there for them when they grow up as well. So anyhow, so I've got a brand new shrink wrapped copy of the Little Sister Tarot by Ginny Thompson, and this deck will be making its way for sale too. Next up we have the Cosmic Slumber Tarot by Tilly Walden. I bought the second hand of the Facebook group. I thought I would really love it, and I just haven't really connected with it very well. So for this deck, the way it opens up is, that's right, it's got a magnetic clasp type, and it's really sturdy, like it stays fixed there. The cards don't fall out when you move it around. And it also has, hang on, here we go, inside it's got a little booklet that fits really snug in there, and it's a great little booklet too. But I haven't worked with it very much. It just hasn't really resonated with me, and I know for sure I'll be selling this one. I also don't like the cardstock. I don't know if you can tell, but from the glare, it is heavily laminated, but it is it's on the thinner side, so it's not super thick, which is not too bad. I don't mind that, but I do mind the laminate. I do mind the plastic quite a bit. And look, I think the artwork is quite unique and original. I don't have an issue with it per se. It's just not my style, all right? And yeah, I haven't connected with it. And you know, if you've worked with enough different tarot decks, you know that for whatever reason, and that reason can very well be a mystery sometimes, some decks just, like, you don't connect with, you don't gel with, you don't bond with, you don't reach out for very often or hardly at all. Like, I think I've used this twice in the 6 to 8 months that I've had it, maybe longer, and I know that I will not be using it in the future. So this one will also be absolutely going. Up next we have the Flower Keeper's Oracle. This is an oracle deck I backed on Kickstarter, and it comes with this bag, and inside the bag you have this other bag that is with a zip, and inside it you have this booklet which I've pulled out, and it's a great little booklet. It's got the color pictures of the cards and plenty of information in it. And then we've got the cards inside. Hang on, let me just get these out. There we go. They are a bit tricky to get out of this the zip bag. Not impossible, you just have to be careful with it. And so, what can I say about this deck? Look, it's a really sweet deck. It really, really is. So, as the name suggests, Flower Keeper's Oracle features a different flower spirit on every card. So this one we've got Bleeding Heart, and it also has a little message underneath it. I honor and respect my sadness. Here we've got Aster, I make my dreams come true. We've got Foxglove, I learn from my mistakes. We've got Aloe, I am healed and whole, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna have a look through these as I have a chat about this deck. I bought this deck off Kickstarter. This was a Kickstarter publication. And while it is a really sweet deck, and it is quite joyful to work with it, it's gentle, it's calming. The booklet has a lot of great information and messages on each flower spirit. I have not used it a whole lot. I just haven't reached out for it a whole lot. I guess because with the benefit of hindsight, I should have known that because I have other decks, such as the Herbcraft Tarot by, her name slips my mind, Joanna Powell Colbert. I should have really known that, but sometimes the names just completely leave your mind. Yes, so I have decks like that, and they're my go-to decks for herbal lore. And even though this focuses on the flowers itself, I just find myself gravitating towards my other tarot decks on herbal medicine and not reaching out for this deck a lot. And so because of that, I will be letting this one go. It's the only copy I have, but I don't mind letting it go. I know I just won't be working with it very much. The cardstock is really, really lovely. It's got that linen type feel. I can't remember exactly which type of cardstock they used to make this deck, but it just feels a bit like linen, or it just feels really smooth to work with. So it's a great little deck if you're interested in flowers and flower spirits and having a gentle nurturing type deck. This is really lovely, so I'll be saying goodbye to this one. Next up, I've got Deviant Moon Tarot. Now, don't freak out. I'm not getting rid of my Deviant Moon. Well, I am of this one, but the reason is because I have another copy, the smaller deck. And I bought that one because I like the cardstock better. This is the very first version of the Deviant Moon from US Games. So this is Patrick Valenza. It does come with this lovely the large spread. I really like this. Sometimes I'm actually thinking about retaining it and making it into like a poster. Ooh, yeah, I might keep this. But I will be selling the deck, and fairly cheaply too. It is mainstream. I just don't use it because I don't like the cardstock. So let's have a quick look. I just think the cardstock has too much of a rigid plastic feel for me, and because of that I really don't like it. Okay, so I'm pretty sure everybody knows Patrick Valenza's work and the Deviant Moon Tarot. It's absolutely stunning. It's seriously one of the best tarot decks out there in terms of originality and art, and gosh, there's so much to say about it. And it's a working deck. It's a really good workable deck. It's not a deck that you just pull out now and then. I mean, you can ask and use this deck for everyday questions, clients and things like that. It's certainly really easy to work with and very practical. But I just can't stand this cardstock. It drives me insane. And because of that, I haven't touched this deck in years. I don't know why I'm keeping it. It's going. And I do have, like I said, I've got the later publication of it where the cardstock is much nicer. For me, at least. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that don't have an issue with this particular type of cardstock, but I do, and I'm quite pedantic and finicky when it comes to cardstock, because for me tarot is such a tactile experience. When you're shuffling the cards, it needs to be, you know, I need to love it. I need to love what I'm doing. So that one's going. And then finally, I also have an extra copy of the Golden Tarot. And the reason is because I was given this. This is a very early publication. I'm not sure if there's been revisions of it, to be honest. I need to look into it before I advertise it for sale. Well used, it's mainstream, so this will be going fairly cheaply out there. And the reason is, and this is really weird, and some people might think it's weird anyway, but I got this from someone that I don't particularly like. And it doesn't matter, like, it doesn't matter that I think that, you know, you can do all the things like smudge it, cleanse it, all that sort of stuff. You can do all of that. And I have used this deck prior to me getting a brand new one to work with. And that's the one that I use. I did use this deck before then and it was fine. It was successful readings. That's not a problem. It's that it always reminds me of that particular person. And I don't want to be reminded of that particular person. Because I think that she's someone that presents herself in a certain way, but actually has serious issues to deal with that she hadn't dealt with. But anyway, that's like a different story that will never be revisited because I don't need to. And so this deck is going to someone else that will have no idea about that person. I do cleanse all my decks, and like I said, I worked with this fine. It's not the deck itself per se, because I smudged it and I've cleansed it and I've done readings. I had this deck for like about 10 years that I worked with it. It was one of the very early decks that I obtained. Very first when I started my tarot journey. It's just that it's always associated in my mind with that person, and therefore I'm not using it, and I think someone else would be much better off using it. So it is going to. So that's it. Those are all the decks that I shall be saying goodbye to. Well, I might change my mind on one or two. I'll see how I go. I'll be selling these next month in August, as I said. They'll be going on the Facebook page only. I haven't yet priced them. Obviously, things like this would be like at most $20, I think, because it's quite chunky. And then the cost of shipping, once again, you know, it costs like $12 now to ship here in Australia. I think you might still be able to do it for $10 for a small package, but this will not be a small package, I can tell. It will be most likely like in a medium bag, and therefore it's got a bit of wax on it. Yeah, it'll be most likely like around the $12 mark, and that certainly adds to the overall cost. So anyhow, I'll have a think about pricing later on, but that's it from me for today. Hope this was enjoyable or entertaining at the very least. And as always, thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. Thank you for supporting me. Until my next video, take care.